to this place called Urban Air, which if you don't know these places, it's like a birthday party factory. It's like a warehouse with like trampolines and ice cream and those sticks from American Gladiators the kids can whack each other with. And the moment you enter, you have to sign a stack of forms because they know your child is about to be injured. And they get real specific. It's like, your daughter is about to be stuck under a rusty trampoline, Mike Birbiglia. She may jump so high her head is stuck in the rafters, Mike Birbiglia. She may throw up on a rusty trampoline. You will have to clean it up with your own mop and bucket, available for purchase at the Urban Air store, Mike Birbiglia. As you're filling out these forms, the loudspeaker is like, Angelina's birthday party in room 571. Joshua's birthday party in room 1310. It's like the seventh circle of hell, and all I want to do is go home. Fortunately, our daughter was injured almost immediately, and I say fortunately not because I wish this upon anyone, never mind my own child. But if it's going to happen, you want it early, so you can beat the Urban Air rush. So I drive Jenny and Una from Urban Air to urgent care, which might as well have a shuttle bus. There were a lot of familiar faces over there, and I'm not entirely convinced there should be urgent care. I'm not sure what they do exactly. I think they created this thing because someone was having a panic attack, and they're like, I need care! Someone was like, when? Now! Some well-meaning person was like, I own this empty building, and we can paint the word urgent care on the side, and I'll open my laptop to webmd.com. I mean, that's all it is, right? I mean, urgent care is the Urban Air of medicine. 4 weeks a year, it's a Halloween store. I think that's a red flag. We go in, we're frazzled. We're like, our daughter came down wrong on the trampoline and her foot, and they were like, she should probably see a doctor. And we were like, well, that's why we came here. They're like, no, we don't know any doctors. So they sent us to a pediatric orthopedist, and the first thing she says is, Una looks at me, she goes, Dad, what's an x-ray? And I took a swing, I said, well, you go in this machine, and then there's these rays. And the rays go through your skin. And they look around at your bones, right? That's sort of, and then they come back, I think. And, I don't know how they'd know how to come back, but fingers crossed. And then we hire an artist, and the artist draws the bones based on what the rays have said, and it all takes place in that room right there. Mom and I will be out here. We are not allowed anywhere near what is about to happen. It is way too dangerous. There will be technicians in there with you. They will wear bulletproof vests. You will not be wearing one. Don't think too hard about that. And take it away, fellas. So she's worried, and for good reason, because the doctor came out a few minutes later. She goes, Una broke one of the foot, and so we're going to put a cast on her. And so the cast was on for about 2 months. And when your daughter breaks her foot, it's really like the whole family has broken your collective foot. Because you got to come up with a lot of foot-free activities. Like, what about sitting on couch or stewing with anger? And Una was angry about Arrow because he jumped in front of her on the trampoline, and I was angry about Urban Air. At my lowest point, I was like, we should sue Urban Air. And then I remembered all the paperwork we had signed that explicitly stated we would never sue Urban Air. But what the forms don't mention is anything about me discussing Urban Air in the context of a comedy show. So if I showed up at the Beacon Theater tonight and said Urban Air shouldn't be a company, you would know that's a joke. That's not how I feel about Urban Air. I think it's a fantastic company that injures children 365 days a year, which is comedic hyperbole. If I came out here tonight and said guns don't kill people, Urban Air kills people, you would know that's a perfect example of satire, Your Honor. But the Urban Air urgent care situation really hung a lantern on how few things I feel about her. I mean, I can't explain strokes or x-rays or drugs. Increasingly, we have to explain sex because younger and younger, because everyone's devices in your pockets have access now to porn. So now we have to also explain porn, which, I can hit the bullet points, but I'm hazy on the genres. Even the simpler genres, like homemade porn, I'm confounded by. After I have sex, all I can think is at least no one saw that. I'm never like, how were we not rolling? All right, go again. It's gonna be 40 minutes. I didn't have a sex talk growing up. When I was 12, I had hard nipples, which I'm aware isn't sex. I had hard nipples, and it's just something that happens sometimes during puberty. And I say sometimes because when I first built up the courage to share this story with my college roommate, he laughed for 5 minutes straight. And at the end of the laughter, he said to me, and I quote, he goes, "I think that's just a you thing." So when I was 12, I had hard nipples, and I've always been a hypochondriac, so I thought it was cancer. And if you know a hypochondriac, you know I'm not exaggerating. I didn't think maybe it was cancer. I thought, I have cancer. What are the next steps? We didn't have urgent care. And I didn't know any doctors. Other than my dad. And so one night, I walked into the living room when he's just like reading his war novel. And I go, "Hey, Dad, I think I might have cancer." He goes, "Why do you think that?" I said, "I have hard nipples." He said, "That's not a symptom." I said, "See for yourself." And I took off my shirt. My dad stood up, he walked over to me. And he felt my hard nipples. Which was nice. Stay with me. I'm not from a very physically affectionate family. We don't say I love you. We don't hug. So when my dad caressed my hard nipples, I distinctly remember thinking, it's not I love you, but I'll take it. And then my father, Dr. Vince Birbiglia, gave me the briefest medical diagnosis I have received to this very day. He goes, "Nope." And that was the end of the conversation. That was the closest to a sex talk I would receive for the rest of my life. We just weren't physically affectionate. I mean, every now and then. Like, I remember when I was about 5 years old, I was hypotonic, which means I was dangerously dehydrated. And my mom told me the story. Apparently, I was passed out, and she picked me up, she threw me in the car, drove me to the emergency room. And she was a nurse, and so she explained to them. She goes, my son is hypotonic. He needs an IV immediately. They go, we need you to fill out these insurance forms. And so she's manically filling out these insurance forms. And then my dad was working at the hospital, and he walked in and he surveyed the situation, and he goes, give that goddamn kid an IV! And they did it, which is a weird affirmation of my dad's dysfunctional personality, and because it worked. And so I don't remember that whole thing. My mom explained it to me, but what I remember is that I was admitted in the hospital for 4 days, and one day my dad came in, and it was just me and him. And he brought me a Curious George doll. It was about this big. I kept it through my entire childhood. And he rubbed my shoulder for about 15 minutes. And it was the slightest gesture. And I still remember it.